birch is what people call European white birch. You can see this stuff right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Everywhere where you see that little hole and you see this stuff leaking out, you know, that's where the beetle exited. So the grub was in here causing havoc, who knows where, and then finally got big enough to exit. And you know, this section right here, because I can see so much damage, and in the middle too, if you look, as you look up, there's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I know. So what would it cost to have that?
So something like this, you're usually looking at $200 per 10 feet is the average prices for everybody. So when you have, you know, we'll just say it's 20 feet, it's probably more like 25. But so it's only about $400 to remove a tree this size. And then that takes it down really low, haul away everything. And if you need stump grinding, sometimes that gets an additional cost. So it could be, in this case, probably right around $150. So that's how much it costs to do it, and then
$550 for the whole thing.
if you had it stump ground. Now the stump grinding won't be able to get to all these other roots. These are all coming from the same tree, but because they're intertwined with your other ornamental trees, we don't want to take the risk of damaging them. So unfortunately, these will be left behind. But the good news is just a little bit of bark dust, and you'll never notice they were there.
Yeah. What about replanting a tree here, though?
Oh yeah, so you don't have to most of the time. Sometimes they require it, like if you're in the city of Portland, they're going to require it.
I meant from the standpoint of me wanting to have it.
Oh yeah, it's a great idea to replant a tree in a space like this.
With the stump grinding.
So it will affect it. So what you have to remember is, when you stump grind anything, you're taking saturated pieces of wood, because they'll have amounts of carbohydrates in them. When you put that under the soil, the first process of breakdown is bacterial. So the bacteria come out of the soil and start eating on it. And the problem is, underground, they need nitrogen to do their processes, so they'll pull all the nitrogen out of the available nitrogen out of the soil, which is very limited already because it's compacted clay. There's not much macropores. There's hardly any, there's hardly any stuff in there to help the nitrogen. So you don't want to. It won't hurt anything if you don't plant it right where this one is. So if you can plant it, 3 feet away, just where there isn't any other surface roots, just 3 feet away is enough to give you what you need. But you wouldn't want to plant it directly in the same spot. And any tree that's going to get this big, this is a little too close, because it would eventually possibly buckle the concrete or push out this rock work that you have, and you don't need to deal with that, because that's even more expensive than tree work.
What about the
Raywood ash?
I think it's like an aspen.
Which one?
The one on our neighbor's far side.
Oh, the neighbor's side. I didn't see it. Which one?
It's one of those.
Quaking aspen. Yeah. So Populus tremuloids. It's a great.
Are they fairly healthy?
So the problem is it does look a lot like this, but you're going to come into more problems. So those trees, at one point in time, I think in the Guinness Book of World Records, like in 1986 or 94 or something like that, a long time ago, it was considered the largest living thing on the earth. Because everywhere they go, they spread and shoot up things, and you're constantly fighting it in your grass. It's not worth it.
Sort of like bamboo.
Yeah, it's a lot like bamboo. A better choice is pick an ornamental tree that gets the height you want and has a good shape. Some great choices for this type of soil in our area that don't get bugs and won't have more problems like this: crepe myrtle. I've suggested it to some of your neighbors, and I don't think anybody took me up on it, but it's this amazing tree because it has really pretty exfoliating bark. The leaves are glossy, almost no insects attack it, which is really cool here. It doesn't get fungal disease easily. It loves clay soil. And when it blooms at the end of summer, nothing else is blooming, and there's such show-stopping flowers. Like if you Google crepe myrtle, you'll see pictures of the flowers, and it takes a little bit of training to get it to the right shape at first, but once it starts growing, it doesn't grow fast, so it stays like a nice shape, and they only max out about 20 feet tall. So it's very similar in size to your maples, which are a great choice. These Japanese maples that you have, taking good care of them because you've been doing a good job, those are great choices, and those are going to last a long time.
I'm concerned about them. There's a lot of dead branches in there, and they're awful thin.
You have a watering system.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you haven't added anything to your, topsoil for a long time.
Right.
So when you think about it, look at this bare soil. If, even with water, when you have bare soil and clay, it can cause a huge problem, because when you do water late at night, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, by the time the sun comes out, that barely saturated even that far into the soil.
So it's not getting enough water?
Yeah, but the solution isn't more water. The solution is you need something to cover the roots.
Okay.
So so in your situation, it's about looks. This is your corner lot right in the front. You want to put down some bark dust probably. That's
what I've been putting down rather than bark dust, and it's been 10 years since I did it, was what's called 3-in-1 or Irish mix. It's clay, it's sand, 1/3 sand.
Yes, so that's okay. If you do that, that's fine, because it's dark colored and it's pretty, but that will germinate seeds. It's better if you use a straight compost or a fine compost. It's black, it'll look just like dark hemlock, and that dark color will really make all the color in your property stand out, because the contrast is so good.
So, myrtle, what was the first?
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtle.
Here's another one for you, Stewartia.
Don't give me too many.
Too many? Oh well, that'll just those two, crepe myrtle or Stewartia. Great choices.
I want this one taken out.
And they'll match what you have. Then you have barberry. They're pretty pokey. Something else I probably should point out before we go too much further is you have lace bugs really bad.
Need to spray it with some kind of soap underneath.
Yeah, so the soap is the best options, and adding, some good compost underneath. If you give this the things it needs to fight off diseases and insects, it'll do way better. If they're stressed, the disease and insects, they come in and they take over. But if it's healthy, it'll do a good job of fighting them off for the most part, and then that spraying can help a lot. It won't hurt the soil, and if you have to, you can't find insecticidal soap. True insecticidal soap is like, it's something totally different than dish soap, but dish soap will work. So if you have a pump sprayer, you can use 4 tablespoons to a gallon of a regular dish soap. I try to use ones without colors, so you're not adding more stuff into the mix.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can just use a pump sprayer and use the wand, spray in and pull out, and you can, this is going to be a lot of work, but you can also use a pressure washer. Not a gas-powered pressure washer, but an electric pressure washer, because it doesn't have the same PSI. But you can put the soap into the hopper and stand back a little ways, and it'll put a real nice fine mist on everything, and you can get up underneath there with the wand because you have something that's pretty big. And if you saturate all the leaves and everything, it's fine. Just come back through about 15 minutes later and rinse all that off, because if you leave it on there, it's meant to dry out the insect's body, and if you leave it on the cells, it'll dry out them too.
So I do want this removed, because it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, we can do that for you. We're working for your neighbor too, a little ways down the road, and we'll, the same time we do that, we can come back through and do your stuff for you.
And so what would it cost to have that one, assuming I get a permit, and that one taken out?
Yeah, so these Raywood ashes were a bad choice. I think they're super pretty. Their fall color is so amazing. It's turning colors right now. That deep red is so beautiful. Like,
they weren't our choice. They were the city put them in.
It's this spacing right here. They should only have ornamental trees. That is not enough space for a tree this size. And it's obvious. I mean, fortunately, these guys don't buckle your concrete like most maples do, but they're just going to fall over.
Yeah.
Down your street.
Well, they do buckle your...
A little bit, but not as much as a maple does.
Over,
yeah, not as much as a maple. Right down your street, there was a little storm just around the corner, and I think there was like 8 or 9 of these came down, all at once.
Yeah, we saw them.
Fell across the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was over there cleaning those up, and I hate to see it.
Yeah. Okay, well, whenever you can get to it, so 550 for this, and what'd you say on the two?
These are cheaper. We just have to block the road, but they're ready to go over. So we have a minimum. It's $200. I mean, this one would be out of the minimum, but we have to charge the minimum just because of the way it works. So it would be $200. Now, when it comes to stump grinding, I would just take it out to start with, and then maybe wait on stump grinding, because this sprinkler line is definitely going to get damaged. There's no way around it. It's just too close, and it's right in where some of the roots are. Fortunately, if this gets damaged, it's really easy to repair, and it's not expensive. So that's only going to be, you know, maybe $40 if your landscaper does it for you. Because that line underneath is really easy to repair.
I don't plan on replacing those trees anytime soon.
Yeah, I think you have enough. If you put something, you know, and it doesn't have to be right where that one is. You know, if you put something, you know, even back where this pine is, because I do like some pines, but that one doesn't really match the landscaping that well. It's kind of the wrong kind. Google pines, when they're really small, they're shaped and they're kind of cute. But once they get older, they want to turn into a tree and they start to look rough.
Gnarly, yeah.
And they're cheap to get out of there, but that would be the good spot to put a new tree, you know, somewhere in there, and maybe trim the rhodie a little bit.
Yeah,
make
the
some
rhodie,
space.
it's doubled in size this year. I mean, it's been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Just this year, I can't believe how big it's gotten.
The best time to trim them is right, you know, after they flower, before they start producing new flower heads, because you'll lose all these flowers next year. That's something to consider. But if you do trim it, they can handle an aggressive trimming. But look back in here, see how gray these leaves are? That's how bad your bugs are. Here you can see what they look like.
Oh, yeah.
That's the lace bug right there. There's a live one. I mean, they can sometimes make it all the way through the winter alive, which is amazing. But this is a new lace bug. We think it came from Korea or maybe Japan somewhere, because we import a lot of ornamental plants. So it's really hard to tell where it came from, but it is a new species to our area. That's why it's so prolific and it's just taking over. Like, it's every leaf on your whole bush has been attacked. Thousands and thousands of insects, and they'll eventually kill it if they can.
Well, once I get that out, then it'll be easy to go ahead and treat it. But so it'd be a 550, 200, and 200, and 950.
Yeah, we're about a week or two out, but you're
That's
going to need
fine.
time. You're going to need time to get your permits and stuff, and we want to do the right thing and make sure the city gets their grease. You know.
Okay, well, put us on your schedule, and we'll go ahead and contact the city.
I'll give you my number as soon as they give you your permits, and you can put my name on there, because they want to know that you met with an arborist, because they want to make good choices. They will likely make you replace one of your street trees, but I hope not.
Yeah.
So let's wait and see what they say, but because this is too many trees.
Yeah.
You want to have more open. That's fine. And that's a great choice. So that's a maple too, but those paper bark maples, they're not too aggressive.
This one here.
They need a little help though.
That's the city that
They did that?
Yeah.
It needs a little bit of food. So we'll call it food. They produce their own food, but it needs more nutrients. So the grass is getting everything.
Yeah.
So we need to just put a little bit of that compost all around the top. And the best thing about compost is when water from rain hits it, it dissolves whatever's available and brings it down in with it. And plus it covers the ground and protects the root system. And that's what they need. This bare stuff is, you know, think about wherever do you see bare soil? Just the desert, you know? You don't see it in the forest. It's always got coverage.